Picture this, a dark wood, a frantic rider fleeing for his life, and behind him, the sound of hoofbeats from a pursuer who is missing his head. That is the image of Sleepy Hollow, right? Well, today, we're diving into two incredible, but totally different, takes on that one terrifying legend. Washington Irving's original ghost story from 1820 and Tim Burton's wild horror film from 1999.
So, how did one spooky legend end up becoming two such different stories? We'll start right there. Then we are going to look at the massive transformation of our main guy, Ichabod Crane, and see how that completely changes the plot. After that, we'll get to the main event, the horseman himself, and finally, we'll figure out why this story is just such an American classic.
Okay, so both of these stories start in the exact same place, this strange, haunted little valley where a weird, enchanting influence seems to hang in the air, and one particular ghost is the undisputed king.
This right here, this is the seed that everything else grows from. Washington Irving's original story gives us this one single, bone-chilling image, the ghost of a Hessian soldier, forever galloping through the night, looking for the head he lost in the war. It's the ultimate campfire story.
But you know, from that one little seed, two very different forests grew. The book is really a piece of folklore. It's almost as much a comedy about a greedy, awkward schoolteacher as it is about ghosts. The movie, though, oh, it throws all the humor out the window and just cranks the horror dial all the way up, turning this little legend into a huge murder mystery with a pretty high body count. And that all starts with one man.
I mean it! The single biggest change, the one thing that alters everything else, is Ichabod Crane himself. He's practically unrecognizable from one version to the next, and it totally redefines the story.
See, in the book, Ichabod is, well, he's no hero. He's this lanky, awkward schoolmaster who's completely terrified of the same ghost stories he loves to read. The movie just flips that on its head. We get an Ichabod who's a man of science, a constable from New York City, sent to Sleepy Hollow to debunk all the superstition and solve the case. And it makes sense, right? A Hollywood murder mystery needs a hero who's going to push the story forward, not some fool who just kind of wanders into trouble.
And these changes go so much deeper than just his job. The book's Ichabod is all about greed. He looks at Katrina and basically sees dollar signs. The movie's Ichabod, he's driven by a need for justice and a faith in logic. This one difference in what motivates them is the engine that drives two totally different kinds of stories.
And that, of course, leads us straight to the plot. Because if your main character is a superstitious fool, you get a simple folktale. But if your main character is a brilliant detective, you get a murder mystery.
The movie's plot is this incredibly tangled web of secrets and intrigue. The horseman isn't just some random ghost causing chaos, he's a weapon. He's being controlled by a flesh-and-blood villain who's using the supernatural to pull off a very human, very greedy plan.
It's a classic detective story formula, isn't it? You've got a secret will, a hidden marriage, a whole conspiracy of silence among the town's leaders. Ichabod has to peel back all these layers of secrets to get to the truth, all while, trying not to get his head chopped off by an undead killer.
Now, compare all of that to the book. The entire plot boils down to this. Ichabod wants to marry Katrina for her dad's farm, but the town's tough guy, Brom Bones, also wants to marry her. That's it, seriously. It's a simple love triangle, not some town-wide conspiracy.
So here's the kicker. Irving leaves this huge clue for us. After Ichabod vanishes, they find a shattered pumpkin next to his lost hat. And ever since then, his rival Brom Bones just can't help but laugh whenever this story comes up. The book is basically winking at us, saying the whole terrifying climax was probably just an elaborate prank to scare the competition out of town for good.
Which brings us to the star of the show himself, the Headless Horseman. So what is he? A ghost, a prank, or a full-on monster?
This is the one question everyone always asks. And what's so cool is that our two stories take this exact question and give us two completely opposite, but honestly equally satisfying answers.
The book's real power is its ambiguity. The horseman is a legend, a spooky story, something you're never totally sure is real. The movie, on the other hand, just throws all that out. Why? Because for a big screen horror movie, you need a real physical threat. The horseman in the film is 100% real. A sword-swinging, decapitating monster that Ichabod literally has to fight.
And this just perfectly sums up the difference. In the book, The Horseman is a classic ghost story, a spirit looking for what he lost. In the movie, he's a supernatural assassin, a puppet whose skull is basically a remote control for murder. One is the story you tell around a campfire to scare your friends. The other is the monster that will actually hunt you down.
So, okay, we've got a simple little folktale on one hand and a massive gothic horror movie on the other. How can two stories that are so different both be considered absolute classics?
Well, it's because they focus on completely different strengths. The book is just a masterpiece of atmosphere and that sly, subtle humor. It's all about the feeling of this haunted place. The movie is a visual spectacle of gothic horror, giving us awesome action sequences and a truly terrifying monster. They just scratch different itches, you know?
This is really the key to the book's greatness. Irving is an absolute master of creating a sense of place. He makes Sleepy Hollow feel real, like this little pocket of the world that's stuck in time, a place where you could totally believe in ghosts. The atmosphere, it's the main character.
And the genius of the movie is that it takes that atmosphere and makes it visual. It makes it terrifying. The colors are all washed out, the trees look like twisted claws, the fog is everywhere. Tim Burton doesn't just tell you the place is haunted. He makes the land itself look like a monster.
And the fact that this legend could be so completely and successfully reimagined almost 180 years after it was written, that just proves how powerful Irving's original story is. It's a story so core, so elemental, that it can be a cozy ghost story in one century and a blockbuster horror film in the next.
So in the end, I guess the real question is, which horseman rides through your imagination? Is it the spooky, maybe he's not real ghost from a prank gone wrong? Or is it the relentless, sword-wielding killer brought back from a bloody grave? Both are terrifying in their own way, and both make sure that the legend of Sleepy Hollow will never, ever die.